Long ago, in the heart of a bustling African village, there lived Mama Kuntu, a woman of great renown. Her fame extended beyond the boundaries of her community, for her fabrics were like nothing the world had ever seen, vivid as the break of dawn and adorned with patterns so intricate they seemed to come alive under the sun. Her work became the pride of the village, and traders from distant lands paid exorbitant sums for even a small piece of her cloth. Despite her immense success, Mama Kuntu's life was shrouded in mystery. Her grand loom, the source of her magical creations, was kept hidden in a locked chamber, accessible only to her. The dyes she used shimmered with colors no one could replicate, said to come from secret sources deep within the forest. While most villagers admired her for bringing wealth and prestige to their home, whispers of unease lingered in the shadows. "How can one woman weave so much so quickly?" asked an elder during a quiet gathering. "And why does her fortune grow while misfortunes befall others?" murmured another. Children had gone missing, livestock had died mysteriously, and families suffered calamities with increasing frequency. Yet Mama Kuntu's charm, generosity, and acts of kindness silenced suspicion. She hosted grand feasts, gave away fabric to the needy, and comforted those in mourning. Her voice was as soothing as her gifts, convincing the villagers that she was a blessing rather than a curse. One fateful evening, tragedy struck the home of a young mother named Io. Her infant son, Lami, vanished without a trace. The village was roused by her anguished cries as she clutched an empty blanket. "Someone has stolen my baby," she wailed. "The spirits or the beasts have taken him." The villagers gathered to console her, but their words offered little solace. Among them came Mama Kuntu, her figure draped in a majestic shawl that shimmered under the moonlight. "Do not despair, Io," Mama Kuntu said, her voice soft and honeyed. "The ancestors are testing your faith. I will weave a special cloth in Lami's honor and offer it to the spirits. They will surely guide him back to you." Mama Kuntu wrapped a delicate shawl around Io's shoulders. The fabric was unlike anything Io had ever seen, soft as a cloud, with patterns so faint they seemed to whisper secrets. But as she clutched the cloth, Io noticed something odd. Among the intricate designs were faint impressions, tiny shapes resembling the handprints of a baby. Her heart raced. Could this be a coincidence? Or was this fabric connected to her missing child? Before she could confront Mama Kuntu, the older woman spoke again, her words soothing but firm. "This pattern symbolizes the spirits watching over us," she explained, smiling warmly. "It is a sacred design, chosen just for you." The crowd murmured their admiration for Mama Kuntu's kindness, and Io, overwhelmed by the moment, swallowed her suspicions. Mama Kuntu employed a group of young boys to assist her in her workshop. Among them was Kweku, a clever child whose curiosity often got the better of him. One day, while fetching water near the edge of the forest, Kweku stumbled upon something extraordinary. At the base of a towering baobab tree lay a thread unlike any he had ever seen. It shone like liquid gold, even in the dappled shadows of the forest. Eager to show his discovery, Kweku ran to Mama Kuntu's home. "Mama," he exclaimed, holding up the thread. "Look what I found near the forest. It's just like the ones in your clothes. Is this where you get them?" Mama Kuntu's heart skipped a beat, but she quickly masked her alarm with a wide smile. "Ah, my clever boy," she said, gently taking the thread from his hand. "Yes, the ancestors leave these treasures for me because of my devotion. But you must keep this secret, Kweku. If others find out, the spirits might become angry, and misfortune could fall upon us all." Proud to be entrusted with such an important secret, Kweku nodded eagerly. That night, however, he disappeared. The villagers searched for him tirelessly, calling his name and scouring the forest, but no trace of the boy could be found. Mama Kuntu wept openly at his memorial, weaving an exquisite cloth in his honor. Her display of sorrow silenced any budding doubts. Years passed, and Mama Kuntu's fame continued to grow. Among the other weavers in the village was Kofi, a skilled artisan whose once thriving business had dwindled under Mama Kuntu's shadow. Resentful and determined to uncover the truth, he devised a plan to challenge her. One market day, as the villagers gathered to admire Mama Kuntu's wares, Kofi raised his voice. "Mama Kuntu," he called out, "your fabrics are unmatched, but no one has ever seen where your golden threads come from. Tell us, where do you find your magic?" The villagers fell silent, turning their eyes to Mama Kuntu. For the first time, suspicion glimmered in their gazes. Mama Kuntu, though taken aback, quickly regained her composure. "My threads are gifts from the ancestors," she declared, her voice strong and unwavering. "They reward me for my prayers and sacrifices beneath the sacred baobab tree. Perhaps you, Kofi, should spend more time in devotion rather than questioning the blessings of others." The crowd erupted in laughter, and Kofi's challenge was dismissed. To further cement her reputation, Mama Kuntu hosted a grand feast that evening, giving away bolts of the finest cloth. Not everyone was convinced of Mama Kuntu's innocence. Abina, a grieving mother who had lost her son to the same mysterious circumstances months earlier, had long nurtured a quiet, gnawing suspicion. She knew something was terribly wrong in the village, but her mourning kept her silent. The loss of her child had hollowed her out, leaving her with a longing for answers that consumed her every waking moment. Slowly, she began to piece together the pattern of disappearances, each coinciding with Mama Kuntu's increasing wealth and power. She felt the invisible strings of fate tightening around the mysterious weaver. Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, Abina followed Mama Kuntu one moonless night, her heart pounding in her chest. She moved like a shadow, blending with the darkness, until she reached the forest's edge. There, hidden behind the thick underbrush, she watched the woman she had once trusted walk to the center of the sacred grove. The ancient baobab tree loomed large, its twisted limbs stretching toward the sky like gnarled fingers. Mama Kuntu knelt before it, muttering in a strange, melodic chant that seemed to call the very earth to life. Abina's breath caught in her throat as the ground beneath the tree began to pulse, glowing faintly with a golden light. But it was not the golden glow that made her blood run cold. It was the soft, eerie sound that began to rise from the depths of the earth. It was a cry that Abina instantly recognized. It was the sound of a baby, small and fragile, helpless. Horrified, Abina watched in frozen disbelief as golden threads, shimmering and alive, slowly emerged from the soil around the baobab tree, weaving themselves into a luminous fabric. The cries grew louder, desperate, as if pleading for release. And then, she saw it, the source of the thread, a tiny, pale hand, reaching from the ground, its fingers grasping at the air. Abina stumbled backward in shock, her mouth dry, her mind reeling. Mama Kuntu was not weaving threads from gifts of the ancestors as she claimed. She was taking children from the village, offering them to the tree, to the spirits, in exchange for her own gain. The golden threads were woven from the life force of innocent souls, harvested from the cries of babies she had stolen. Abina's world shattered in that moment. The woman who had once comforted her, who had woven beautiful blankets and shawls to soothe her grief, was the architect of her greatest nightmare. Mama Kuntu's sacred fabrics were steeped in blood, and every piece was a testament to a vile, twisted bargain. Torn between terror and a burning need for justice, Abina raced back to the village, the horrifying truth clawing at her soul. She ran to the chief and the elders, but the weight of her words was almost too much to bear. No one could believe that the kind, generous Mama Kuntu, the woman whose hands had crafted their finest garments, could be capable of such horrors. But Abina's testimony left no room for doubt. The villagers, spurred by the undeniable conviction in her voice, gathered in force at Mama Kuntu's workshop. When they confronted her, she stood tall, her usual calm composure faltering for just a moment. The mask she had worn for years cracked, revealing the depths of her deception. They stormed her home, forcing their way into the back room where the loom stood. The air was thick with the smell of ancient incense, the light dim and eerie. The loom hummed with an unnatural energy as though it were alive, fed by the very souls it had consumed. The villagers recoiled in horror when they saw the remnants of the ritual, tiny infant clothes, embroidered with golden threads, piled like offerings at the base of the loom. In the dim light, they could see locks of hair, small footprints stamped into the glowing fabric. And worse still, beneath the loom, the earth was darkened with the remains of those who had been taken. Mama Kuntu screamed as the truth came to light, but it was too late. Her charms no longer worked. The villagers, filled with a mix of horror and fury, dragged her to the center of the village square. Her cries echoed through the air, but there would be no mercy, no reprieve. As the flames consumed her, Mama Kuntu's final, tortured scream cut through the night, a chilling reminder of the price of her ambition. Her life, built on the suffering of others, was now reduced to ashes. The sacred baobab tree, the source of her dark power, was set aflame as well, its twisted form crumbling into a pile of smoldering wood and dust. The village would never forget the monstrous secret hidden in the heart of their prosperity. The legacy of Mama Kuntu The prosperous weaver who wove death into her fabric would remain a shadow over the land for generations. And every time a child laughed or played in the village square, the villagers would remember there is a cost to the pursuit of power, and sometimes the threads of fate can be woven with blood. The village swore never to let such darkness take root again. The tale of Mama Kuntu became a cautionary story, passed down through generations as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the price of greed. Her once beautiful fabrics faded into memory, their shimmering threads forever tainted by the blood of the innocent. The end. Thanks for sticking along. Have a wonderful time and see you again.